Hi, this is Vikash and I have a new project. We're gonna start off at https://www.flymill.com and you'll reach this page. From there you're gonna click on my account. Type in, I'll give you these credentials. We're going to select web hosting from the drop down, click login, and for this project there's nothing to do with email hosting, nothing to do with email marketing, only these three last menu items require work. So from the web hosting menu item, if you go to my dashboard, we can start there. As you can see, my web hosting is first, which that's what we want. All three of these items up top, we want these items to appear regardless of the count of accounts there. So even if there's a 0, we want these to appear. Now for these under this dotted line, it's a little hard to see, but all of these other services, any service with any account greater than 0 should appear over here. So in reality only this first one should appear if it was valid. All these rest of them that have zeros should not appear. That's how I want it set up. So any services that are purchased that are not part of these should appear over here only if there's accounts of greater than 1, and all these zeros, these services should not appear. However, at the top these should appear regardless of whether the count is 0 or whatever the count is. My profile, my billing, my order history, and these are just quick links. There's nothing to do there. If you go to my profile, this houses all the information. The CSS is somehow messed up over here, otherwise it's supposed to look much better than that, but I believe this is already functioning. My billing as well is functioning just fine. Again, the CSS is messed up, so that needs to be corrected. My order history, I don't believe there's any orders. However, the order number is supposed to be pulled from the payment system. I use pluginpay.com, and the order numbers are very long order numbers, and if you click on an order number, once you actually place an order, a receipt pops up that shows you all the information with the order. I believe this is working. However, some of this functionality, like the search for order number, I think that works. This should be defaulted to web hosting. When we're under web hosting, it should be defaulted to domain names if we were under domain names with the my order history, and with the SSL that should be defaulted to SSL if we were here, my order history under SSL. And so this is just pretty much searching for order information, and it should search the text here. I believe all that should be working, but you may need some work over here just in case. Again, the CSS looks like it's a little bit off, so that needs to be corrected. If you go under Linux hosting, you can actually go through the there's a 4-step sign up process. If you click on sign up, it'll go from sign up, it'll ask for this information, the appropriate validation takes place, and this is already programmed in, so you can go through step 1 through 4 and then check out and then make the payment, and you should, this Linux hosting, it's a web hosting account, so if that was purchased, the count would increase by 1. Now we did not go to my web hosting. Let me go ahead and show you that. With the my web hosting, there's this is already built as well. So if you clicked on here, you would go directly into the web hosting account, which is exactly what we want. And that is already built. Let's just go ahead and log out of there. Now this upgrade is also built, and that will allow you to make your selections and upgrade or downgrade if you wanted to. Let's go back over here. Now this renew services, this renew service, that still needs to be built. So renew service, if someone clicked on here, it should allow them to renew their service or extend out their service if they wanted to. Let's say this was at a different status rather than active. If it's, I believe if it's canceled, it allows you to renew. If it's disabled, then I believe it's not a possibility to do anything. The delete account is working, I believe. That this box needs to be improved. The look needs to look better than this and consistent with all the rest of the pages. I mean, more information needs to be provided over here, but that I believe is functioning well as well. When you click on any of the menu items, the sort should happen. Also, this is a filter, so it would allow you to search between two dates, and that I believe is working. So there's nothing to do there. I don't know why that's not going away. Okay. And so for web hosting, most everything is done. That's why I'm showing you web hosting as first, because the Linux hosting should be used as a guide to set up all the rest of the products. Basically what you're doing is I'm using ENOM API, and this is the site for the API for ENOM. This is the actual site that they want you to follow at this time. If you go to enom.com, you'll see a different API setup, but if you look over here, if you go to api.enom.com, this is the actual, these are the products that they actually make available, and these are the ones that you can set up over here. And out of these products, basically, if you look at the Linux web hosting that I was going through, that's already set up for the most part. As I had explained, the renew part of it still required work, and a couple of other areas such as delete accounts needed to be spruced up. But the Linux web hosting you can use as a guideline to set up the other products. Basically, I just want to implement the 4-step sign-up process for each one. There should be a purchase, the registration is the purchase, then there should be an upgrade, downgrade, a renew, extend, and maybe delete. Extend and renew may be one and the same, but you would be able to tell. But these are the products I need set up. Some of these products are already set up in the old design. Actually, there's an old design under this. If you dig into the code, you will see there's an old design, and some of the products will be set up, but it's best to set up in the new design. And if you just follow the Linux hosting 4-step process, that's pretty much how I want them to be set up. See over here, if you go to under web hosting, if you go to, there's 2 more products that need to be set up. DNS hosting. Over here for DNS hosting, I also want, if you go to sign up, I also want the ability to sign up for multiple DNS hosting on different domains. This part is already set up, but all of these domain extensions should appear from here. Like if we go to manage over here and pricing editor, I believe it's under pricing editor, it's under one of these things. See, you can look at this is for actually for domain purchases, but if you look under product pricing, you probably find DNS hosting there. Some of the services that they allow you to resell are right here. SSL certificates, DNS hosting right here. So that's if you so under web hosting, my dashboard, what was remaining is this needed work, where I'd explained this earlier, and then under my web, these also required, let me go back there, CSS work. And then if you go to my web hosting, this one required work, as well as this one needed to be spruced up. And let's see, and the my order history, that once you place an order, that everything needs to be checked there, make sure everything is functioning well. Linux hosting's working, and then if you go DNS hosting and website builder needs to be the 4-step process, basically the 4-step purchase process, should be implemented. And then once it is implemented, if you go to my DNS hosting, you should get a page like this, where you can do the upgrade, renew, and the other functions that are applicable to DNS hosting. Same with all the rest of the products. That's how it should work. And then let's see, if you go under domains, if you go start under dashboard, you'll see my domains is listed first, which is correct. And even though there's no products here, it's we want to see all these regardless. Now these products we only want to see if their count is greater than 1. Now it doesn't matter if these are domain related or web hosting related or SSL related. I'd want to see all the products under here. The hierarchy should be domain services should appear first, and then web hosting, and then SSL. And these are just quick links. So if you clicked on my domains, this is not set up, but this is how it should appear. These are some of the functions that I would want to appear over here. These actually you would have to set up the API for this, where it will lock the domain, unlock the domain, renew, ID protect, upgrade, or trash, delete account. So this would need to be set up. Send by email, the authorization code would be sent. Also, this is an API command. Now I want to show you, if you do go to ENOM, the API location, and if you go to domains, you will see tons and tons of commands. Now I don't want you to think that I want all these commands programmed in. I pretty much just want these and this, because when the user goes to domain management.emailhosting.com and enters, well, it should be just I guess without the S. If they go here, well, I don't know why that's going on, but when they go over here, when they enter their domain and their password, they will be able to manage all of their services. And so I want when you go to my domains, if they clicked on here we go 123.com, if they clicked on a domain, it should take them to this a domain panel, domain management.emailhosting.com. So when they're in this maybe you can set this up as a frame within this area, so it doesn't appear that they've left the site. So I would need something like that set up where, but all the management of the domain, like as far as name servers go and MX records and everything for the management of the domains, besides the lock, renew, ID protect, upgrade, trash, and authorization codes, and some of these features, everything should be taken care of over here. So basically you're going to go into a white labeled area that ENOM provides that allows you to manage your domains. So all the commands that you see over here aren't required as far as for setting up for purposes of this project. So if you go back to my dashboard, this is under domain names, you'll see well, let's move on. If you go to register, now this is already showing you what should appear underneath. Since we really haven't searched for a domain, I would not want to see any of this underneath here, only this search bar where they can search for any domain, and this should include every single extension. I believe they call them TLDs. Every single TLD that I have selected at ENOM, as far as if I'm offering the domain, all of these domains, I believe I'm offering all these TLDs. So if I'm offering all these TLDs should appear in the drop down over here when they were searching for a domain. And if it's easier, we can even do without, well, we probably have to do with it. So we would need the TLD drop down. Otherwise, users may type in domains that are TLDs that are not applicable. So let's go back in here. So for the register, I would only want to see the top part, not this, and this would only show after the search takes place. This would pop up underneath. The transfer, again, that's I would want this more functionality to work just like the DNS hosting, where a user is able to transfer multiple domains. So whenever you do any of these setups, if they allow for bulk transfers or bulk registrations, we would want the more to be included. The authorization code is something that they would have to provide if they're transferring the domain name over. Push, if they're pushing a domain to someone else, the same way, if they wanted to push multiple domains, we need to provide them the ability to do so. Again, their domain name has to meet requirements, such as the domain has to be unlocked for them to be to be pushed. So whenever you hit the next step, some of that validation should take place. The who is information, basically this is searching for public information for who's under a domain. So if you typed in anything over here, all the extensions should appear over here, the TLDs that, well, pretty much everything should appear there. And this should pop up for the domain that we've searched. Right now this is just an example, but this is exactly how it should pop up, well, similar to this. So I would need that programmed in. For other services, there's only one ID protect. That's another thing that would need to be programmed in, and I believe there's old code underneath somewhere where you can see how ID protect, the registration of ID protect takes place. And whenever anyone purchases these products, again, they should appear in my dashboard over here, where they can, if they clicked over here, if they clicked on this, it should go to a page similar to my domains, where it would be my ID protect, and then it will show all the accounts that you have ID protect under. And even under domains, you should have ID protect right under the domain, like this one is showing you, because it's applicable to the domain. So in both places it should show the ID protect accounts, and it should be synced up. The ID protect should be synced up with the other one, because we wouldn't want it to have on over here where it's stated differently on the other side. So that's all for domains. And for the SSL, I can show you just this one. I already have it up. So it's basically the same thing. You're going to go to dashboard. You're going to have my SSL at the top, regardless of the count over here. I want all three of these to show. Over here are some other services. Well, my privacy policy and safe site aren't applicable, and this is builder, I believe. So some of that information does not apply. But anytime you have more than one account, it should appear over here. This needs to be programmed in again. Now, some of the programming, it's similar across these, as you'll be able to tell. The products all require the 4-step process, like all of these. Like if you're going to purchase this, I'd want the 4-step process, just like Linux web hosting, to happen, basically. So the user should be able to go through the 4-step process. Again, privacy policy and safe site aren't applicable, so there's only 2 here, site lock and anti-malware, that needs to be set up. Over here, all of these should be set up pretty much in the same manner. It's basically purchase, and then once you purchase them, they should appear in the dashboard over here, and when you click on them, you should go to a page called My Anti-Malware, if you had clicked on that, and then you'd have these little icons, whatever is applicable. So you'd have to decide what makes sense as far as the functions that are going to be required. And most of the functions that I pretty much want are just the, upgrade, downgrade, the renew, extend it out, or that may be one and the same, like I mentioned earlier, and the delete account. The delete account should not just be a quick delete. It should have all kinds of information there. Pretty much, you may want to go to ENOM.com, and if you're not logged in, I believe I'm logged in, but if you're not logged in, you can go through some of these services. Like if you're gonna purchase Website Builder, you can go to the overview and see exactly how it works. So if you see what kind of validation takes place, that validation would need to apply with email hosting as well. Flymill.com, I mean. And so when you add to cart, you can see the different options. Like it would allow you to, well, there's a renewal already there. It'll allow you to remove things from the cart. And that's one other thing I wanted to mention about the cart. Whenever someone adds anything to the cart, as far as when they go to purchase or register a domain, let's just say they selected one. Let's say they selected one of these, and they go to the next step. Well, there should be a next step button underneath. That's not even there. But whenever they go to the next step, if they sign in, and it should already show up over here. This needs to be, we need to make sure that the items in the shopping cart are functioning across all of these different products. So even if I moved from domain names to web hosting, it should function just like you would expect it to function with any other site. The items in the shopping cart, you should be able to click here anytime and then go to the purchase if you wanted to. So that's pretty much it. With the SSL, you're gonna go through all of these, and there's 2 basically: siteware. These are the products I want the 4-step process: the upgrade, downgrade, the renew, the delete. And then some of the functions, like for domain names, I believe domain names is probably the one that's going to require the most work. Would need pre-configuration as well for some of the TLDs they require. Like if it's from a different country, if someone's trying to register a domain from a different country, there may be pre-configuration requirements. So that information needs to be taken in prior to allowing the user to register. So there's more validation checks, I believe, with domain names. But once you look through some of the information, you'll be able to gather exactly what you need. And with this API.enom.com, if information over there is not as straightforward as you need it to be, you can always go to enom.com. Some of this may not apply. If you click on email hosting, I'll provide all the credentials over there. But if you go to resellers, there's an API catalog over here, and you can go to value-added services. And some of these services are not applicable, like GoMobi. They don't even allow it. Business listing as well. So it's not as if I want all of these services set up. I only need these. DNS hosting, this one's already done. Some of the information still, some work still needs to be done. Domain names, whois, lookup, ID protect, the SSL certificates, the website builder, the anti-malware, site lock, and the G Suite by Google Cloud. So that's pretty much it. So let me think if I've forgotten anything. So the white labeled stuff for the, I mentioned that. So that's pretty much it. And you can set up the, if you go to enom.com, there's a place over here where it allows you to set up the API test environment and the live environment. You can add in your API, not your API, your IP address, and it'll allow you to test the product. Or run tests, I mean, on the purchasing and that sort of thing. And whenever you do actually work through the programming, when you're at the stage where you want to test the purchase of something, just purchase the lowest price product. Like if it's a really high price product, because ENOM's gonna it's gonna force me to pay them as well for any products that are purchased. Even though when you do make the purchase, there is the plugandpay.com allows for a test payment. So they provide, I guess, a credit card number that's 4 and then all ones or something. But the information is already, I think, pre-populated when you go to purchase. When you go to Linux web hosting and go to purchase, it's already pre-populated somewhere. So you'll be able to see that. So again, that's pretty much it. I don't know if I forgot anything, I left anything out, but if I did, if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me. And I will post this project soon, so hopefully you're interested, and hopefully there's a good amount of interest, and hopefully this video will help you understand the project better than just if I had written it and with a bunch of text. Okay, well, thanks again. Bye-bye.